Good morning, guys. How is excuse me. I'm so sorry. Good morning. Hey, Jelly Bean, Judy, Carla. Hi, guys. Um, Before we get started, because I just found out about this morning. This is a case I want to follow if it goes to trial. Um, I guess it would be in Nevada. I'm not sure. Okay, there's this guy named Grant Amato. He is in prison in Florida. He was a nurse. If you guys have, I think it's Paramount Plus, there's a documentary called Control Alt, I think it's Control Alt Delete or Control Alt Desire. Now I need to look it up. Hang on. So this guy was a nurse. He was in love with a cam girl. You know what a cam girl is, right? They basically, and it's like OnlyFans. It's Control Alt Desire. Control Alt Desire. And it's on Paramount Plus. So I watched this documentary. So when I heard this guy's name in connection to this case, I was like, why does that name sound familiar? And then as they got farther along, and I saw this story on the Jesse Weber thing on Law and Crime, the what does he call it, sidebar, whatever. And when he said Grand Amato, I was like, that name sounds familiar. And then later he said about the documentary, and I was like, oh, um, so this guy fell in love with a cam girl. He was a nurse. He has a twin brother too, who seems to be like the more stable of the two. And he was like borrowing money from his brother, borrowing money from his parents to give to this woman. And he wanted to, like, take her away from that and marry her, but the whole nine. He ended up killing his parents and his brother. He made up all kinds of story. He lost his job, made up all kinds of story. I mean, it was a mess. Um, and on the documentary, he denies everything. And then he eventually, the guy that's following it, the whole thing to make the documentary, he finally admits to the guy, yes, I did it. It's such a good documentary. But when, at the end, when he's finally like, my appeals didn't work, so I'm finally going to admit it to you. Yes, I did it. It's such a good documentary. Anyway, I'm getting off. I'm getting off. I'm getting off track. So I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you've heard of Ghost Adventures. I don't know if you watch it or not. I used to watch it. Um, I used to like Ghost Hunter show until I finally thought, well, at first I was like, okay, ghost hunting shows are real, ghost adventures are faked. Because who was the guy? The guy that co-founded it was Zach Baggins. I cannot remember his name right now. Shoot. He left and actually started telling people that they fake stuff. And that was why he left, because he was a real paranormal investigator. So I quit watching Ghost Adventures. I really don't care for Zach because he's, full of himself. And I don't know if you guys watch it or anything. But anyway, Zach Baggins is like the leader of the group. And um, he, his show's on the Travel Channel. And he has gotten like other ghosted not Ghost Adventures, but like ghost hunting shows taken off the Travel Channel because he wants to be like the only one, and he's very arrogant and whatever. So, anyways, Aaron Goodwin is one of the guys that's on Ghost Adventures, and he's very sweet, very lovable, and he's the one that's like the most afraid, and he's the one that Zach will put in the worst location in the building by himself. And it's really funny because he's always so scared. And he's just like the sweetest of the group, like the most afraid and the sweetest. So, way back in the beginning, this show's been on the air for decades. Like, I don't even know how many years. So, he definitely does have his own style. Like, I can't take him. I can't. I can't even watch the show anymore. I love Aaron, but I can't like I wanted to go to Zach Baggins' museum, and then I watched a video about the museum. It's a show place. It's like it's not, and there's like likenesses of Zach Baggins all over the place. It's like a total waste of money. They're like, don't even, it's just it's glorifying him. It's I just can't. I just can't with that guy. There's clips of him that were cut out of the show talking to, like, you know how they talk to people about the location or whatever in the show? Well, there are outtakes of him actually telling those people what to say. Anyway, I'm getting off track again. So, back in the beginning of the show, Aaron was married, and I guess supposedly something followed him home and like stayed at home, and then I believe in the supernatural. So I do believe that this was possible. It followed him home and then I guess stayed there, and then when he was gone it would like mess with his wife or whatever. So they divorced because of that. I don't know what happened to the entity or whatever that was messing with her when they divorced. I have no idea. See, this is why exactly. This is how I found out about this. Jason tweeted this. This is how I found out. And then I just saw this on Law and Crime. Yeah, Steve's adorable. So Jason tweeted this because he was like, we all need to be thinking about Aaron right now. And I'm like, what happened? What happened with Aaron? What are you talking about? So this was Aaron's second marriage. So he got remarried. They've been married at least 2 years. I don't, because he put up anniversary pics of their 2 year anniversary. I don't know how long, if it's been over 2 years now, I don't know. But her name's Victoria. Apparently, she has been texting Grant Amato. They live in Nevada. I'm assuming in Las Vegas. That's where Zach lives. So I guess they live out there. She's been texting Grant Amato in prison in Florida to put a hit on Aaron. I don't know what else to say. And the amount that she was going to pay is a very odd amount. I don't remember the numbers, but it's not like an even amount, you know, like $20,000. It was like 15,700. I mean, it was like a odd amount. I don't even remember the numbers because it was such an odd amount. So, how are you going to pay an inmate that kind of money? How has he got a phone for them to text back and forth on? I mean, how is he going to get in touch with a hitman? He didn't use a hitman. He killed them himself. Why is she contacting Grant? I have questions. We need we need to follow this case, y'all. I hope she doesn't plea. I want I want to watch this case unfold. What the heck? And if you look at their social media, they look like the happiest little couple in the world. I'm just I'm flabbergasted. Why in the world? Unless she just wants his money? Because why? I'm just, why? Why? Okay, so I just had to get that off my chest because I love Aaron. I love Aaron so much. Zach does not deserve him. He's amazing. And Zach is dirt. Sorry. Okay, Phil Spector is going to be short today because we've got a lot. Todd's testimony in the corn rake is like 3 hours long. And we're going to be done with that today. So, and I have everything ready to go. Let's just see if, oh, I know she has been arrested. Yeah, we're going to have to keep watch on that. Judy, that is your job. Okay.
Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Chai Rojana, CHAIROJANA.
Thank you, sir. If you sit back and pull the microphone towards you, then you won't have to lean forward. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before I do, I would like to mark an exhibit. I believe our next in order is number 15.
It is.
Thank you. It's People's 15 for identification. This is actually a copy of a receipt from the Beverly Hilton Trader Vic's. May that be so marked?
It doesn't appear to be a receipt. It appears to be a recipe.
Oh, looks like we've already done that.
Okay.
That's a lot.
So the one you're marking is 15. There you go.
Well, we'll go get the 15 later if that's okay.
All right.
This is going to be 11.
All right. You're going, you may. That is, what's being shown is 11. It's already been marked.
Right.
Okay. We haven't marked it. We'll mark 15 in a moment.
Okay.
Okay.
We can. It's a recipe for Navy grog.
All right. 15 will be so marked.
Thank you. Sir, I'd like to invite your attention to February of 2003. What was your occupation then?
General Manager of Trader Vic's
Where? Which Trader Vic's?
at Beverly Hills.
And you're still employed in
Yes.
that position, is that correct?
Correct.
As of 2003, how long had you been employed at Trader Vic's?
Before that, you mean?
Yes, how long? How long did you work there?
1994.
So you
I mean,
have,
74. 78, Trader Vic, 94 in Beverly Hilton.
so you've been with that organization for a long time.
Correct, yes.
As the general manager of Trader Vic's in Beverly Hills, generally speaking, what are your duties?
Take care of everything, start from take care of customer, see the customer, make sure everything going well, smooth, waiter serving the customer, so on.
Sure everything runs correctly.
Correct, yeah.
I'd like to invite your attention, and I put People's 11 down in front of you on the witness stand, and we also have it here on the board. Do you recognize this?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
That's a copy of a receipt from our restaurant.
It's a copy of a receipt from your restaurant on February 2nd, 2003. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Tell us briefly how that's prepared.
What it does when the customer sit down at the table, the server go to the customer and take the order. Once the order received, they go to the micro system, which the ordering system device, and the entry to that system, and it will go to the kitchen or go to the bar, whatever they order.
And so at the end of the evening or at the end of the customer's meal at your restaurant, this receipt, People's 11, would be generated. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Generated by the computer there in the restaurant?
Correct, yes.
And it's done at or near the time, obviously, that people finish their meal.
Correct, yes.
And I assume it's accurate and correct, so you guys get paid right.
Right.
Okay. Now let's focus our attention on this specific receipt, People's 11. As we noted, it is a receipt for February 2nd, 2003. Is that right?
Correct, yes. Mhm.
And right next, we've highlighted that up there on the screen, the date. There's a time next to it, 10:41 p.m. What does that mean? When is that in the evening?
That's when the server enter the order to the machine, to the device. Yes.
So if I came into your restaurant on that day and sat down, the waiter would come over, take my order, correct?
Yes.
And then come back to the electronic equipment and enter the order so the kitchen would know or the bartender would know. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that when that occurred at 10:41
Yes, sir.
in the evening?
Yes.
Okay. This couple or this person, and it turns out we can tell who it is, correct?
Correct, yes.
It's P. Spector.
Right, it's showing the checks.
Okay. Who used the diner's card? Isn't that what the People's 11 shows us?
Yes. Mhm.
And does it tell us how many people were at the table?
2 person. Mhm.
So when the waiter, Trader Vic's, came up to Mr. Spector and his guests, they ordered what that evening?
Correct. That's what's showing the check, yes.
And it shows they ordered 2 Amaretto sours, right?
Yes.
And 2 navies.
Correct.
What's a navy?
It's of a cocktail.
Is it a signature cocktail at your restaurant?
One of that, yes.
And it's a Navy's really a Navy grog, is that correct?
That's a full name, yes.
Okay. And Mr. Spector and his
How is that a cocktail? It's mostly rum with a little bit of soda in it. So, is all liquor a cocktail? If you just put a splash of soda in it, can you get away with calling it a cocktail?
guests also ordered a Diet Coke and a regular Coke. Is that right?
Does appear to be yes on the check.
So at some point, Mr. Spector was presented with this bill at the end of his evening, at least at your restaurant. What time did that occur?
Oh, excuse me. Objection. No foundation.
Well, the way the question was asked, the objection is sustained. He can testify as to
And
what the record show.
Can you tell us, by looking at People's 11, what time this bill was presented to Mr. Spector at your restaurant on February 2nd, 2003?
It show on there from the check. It showed 11:53.
And so as we're looking at People's 11 on the board, that's on the right-hand side of the screen, correct?
Yes.
And so Mr. Spector eventually signed it, and is that right? You see that down here on People's 11, bottom of the right-hand side?
Yes. Mhm.
And did he leave a tip? Can you tell from People's 11 whether or not Mr. Spector left a tip that evening?
Yes.
And what was it from the exhibit People's 11?
The total $150
Was it split in some way according to the exhibit?
on 3-way, but I couldn't read that well. Who is it to?
Remember, there's one right in front of you too. There's a copy
I know,
right
but
there.
it's his handwriting. I really cannot spell. So
Well,
the
we
second
just-
one I cannot tell who is that. Mhm.
All right. Well, it looks like there might be a John. Do you remember a John there at the time?
Yes, John.
And a Mike?
My guest, the server.
And the middle one I can't figure out either. So, okay. But he left a $150 tip. Based on the exhibit People's 11, can you tell how much the bill was?
The total bill, including everything, is $192.22.
And so what he purchased, the alcohol and the other non-alcoholic drinks he purchased that night came to a total of $42.22, right? You see
Correct,
that?
yes.
And with the tip, as you indicated, was $192.22.
Total.
Oh, yes. Again, looking at the exhibit People's 11 for identification, can you tell what time that this check was closed out?
At midnight, 12 a.m.
So in the total process, Mr. Spector would have been presented with this bill around 11:53, indicated how much he wanted to leave for a tip, signed it, and then it would have been run in the machine and closed out. Is that right?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Nothing further at this time.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Welcome. Am I pronouncing your name correctly, Rojana?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Jen, can you get that back up, please? I'm going to ask you a few more questions other than what Mr. Dixon asked you, okay? Let's take a look at this again. And Jen, could I have your assistance in highlighting a couple of these portions of this exhibit, please? Again, People's 11 for the record, y'all. Mr. Rojana, let's take a look at first the time again and the date, February 2nd, 03 at 10:41 p.m., correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I understand, that's the time in which the order is placed. Is that
Correct, yes.
And as I understand it, the bill was presented at 10:53 p.m., is that right?
11:53.
I'm sorry, I meant to say 11:50.
Right, correct.
Okay, so approximately a little over an hour later, right?
Of the show, yes.
And then the 12 a.m. Time, which appears at the bottom on the left-hand side, that reflects the time at which actually the ticket was closed, right?
Yes,
That means it was paid.
correct, yes.
And as Mr. Dixon brought out, as I understand it, the total bill that evening was $192.22, right?
Yes,
And of that, $150 were in gratuities to the employees who are listed, two names of which I agree with Mr. Dixon, you can read, Mike and apparently looks like John, and the middle name we can't read. Will you take a look at that middle name? Check, we blow that up, please. When you take a look at that little name, does that middle name, does that help you at all? It looks like the first letter is a B.
Looks like Bill to me, possibly.
I was going to say a B, and I'm looking at it, it sort of looks like Bill. Did you have a gentleman or a lady working that evening named Bill?
no,
Is there anybody that was working that particular evening that you can recall, just take a moment and think about it, whose first name started with the letter B as in boy?
first of all, I wasn't there that evening,
You weren't there.
not evening, not evening, not that evening, no.
Let me ask you this. That raises another question. So when this order was placed at 10:41 p.m., you weren't there, right?
No, I wasn't.
And when the tab was closed out at 12 a.m., you weren't there,
No, I
correct?
wasn't.
And therefore, Mr. Rubin, as I understand it, you're really here just to assist us to interpret the in-house keeping accounting of Trader Vic's, correct?
Correct.
You didn't serve Mr. Spector that night,
No, I
did you?
did not.
Okay. And since you weren't there, obviously, you don't know what was consumed and what wasn't consumed at his table during that evening, correct?
Correct.
So all, sorry.
I'm sorry.
We're going to use the government system.
Okay. Susan, will you put that up, please? Thank you.
All right. Can you see if we can highlight that again, please? Let's start on what's up, the date and the time. The time of the bottom, yes, that, and the time of the bottom. And then three names, correct?
You want the
Sure.
Sorry, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. That's okay. If you get the highlight, that's it. Okay. And the gratuity on the side, please. I think we're back to square one. There's a little bit less information on this exhibit, which I'm sure the court.
I understand what you mean.
And that's why we decided to go to this exhibit. Okay. So, Mr. Rojana, let's take a look at this again. So as I understand it, you don't know at all what was consumed at the table that night, correct?
Correct.
And since you weren't there, and I know this sounds like a silly question, but since you weren't there, you weren't asked to join Mr. Spector that evening at the table to have drinks with him, correct?
Correct.
And so you don't know anything about what happened because you weren't geographically there.
Correct.
Okay. What this tells you, sir, is basically what was ordered. That's the basic tenor of this exhibit, right?
Correct.
Not who drank what or how much.
Correct. Yes.
And just briefly, as I understand it, your responsibility as the general manager at the Beverly Hills Trader Vic's has been in place since 1994.
Correct. Yes.
So you've been at that particular location as of February of '03 for almost a decade, almost 10 years, right?
Yes.
And as I understand it, you've been with the company or the corporation since '74.
70. Yes. Correct.
So you're
I
like
mean 78. I'm sorry. 78. Yeah.
You're like their
So
longest.
long.
That's okay. So you're their longest employee, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. May I have a vote, Your Honor, please?
I think you established that drinking that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing further.
Thank you. Redirect.
Nothing further. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is Trader Vic's closing, sir?
No, we relocated.
Relocated, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, don't discuss your testimony with anyone except the attorneys in this case. Thank you for being here. Subject to recall, you're excused and you may step down. Thank you. Do you have another witness?
Yes, we do, Your Honor. Ming Fong Chu.
All right.
Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Will you please tell us your name and then spell it, please?
My name is Ming Fong Chiu.
Would you spell it for us, please?
MING FONG
Okay. MINGFONG SHU? CHU. Thank you. If you sit back, sir, and pull the microphone right underneath your chin, we can hear you and you won't have to lean forward. That's great. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
What's your current job? What do you do?
I'm bartender
And where are you a bartender?
in Trader Vic's.
And how long have you been a bartender at Trader Vic's?
Almost 35 years.
So you were a bartender there in 2003, February of 2003, correct?
Yes.
And throughout those 25 years as a bartender, I'm sure you become very, very familiar with their Trader Vic's important drinks.
Yes.
Ever heard of a Navy grog?
Yes.
What is a Navy grog?
Navy grog is fish lime juice, grapefruit juice, black candy salad, and Navy grog mix, dark rum, light rum, and
I'm sorry, one more time.
Dark rum, light rum.
Thank you.
and demerara rum.
We know where you've been hiding.
No, but I'm writing this down. Thank you.
Just for appearances.
Your Honor, earlier I marked people's 15 for identification. Actually, I hope it's the recipe for, and we need to get it. Looks like we've been drinking.
It looks clear to me.
I think I rest my case.
Oh, there we go. Mr. Chu, I'd like to invite your attention up to our screen. This is what we've called People's 15 for identification. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. You just told us the ingredients or the recipe for your Navy grog at Trader Vic's.
Yes.
Do you see it up here on the screen, People's 15?
Yes.
So it has 3 different kinds of rum, is that correct?
Right.
Light, dark, and then what's the third one?
Demerara rum.
Okay. That's some special type of rum?
Yes.
And then the grog mix, is that a specialty to Trader Vic's?
Yes.
grape juice, rock candy syrup, and fresh lime juice.
Right.
Bet over your career you made a lot of those.
Oh, yes.
Is that a strong drink?
Yes.
Do you remember if you were actually working on February 2nd of 2003
Yes.
and February 3rd of 2003? Were you working that weekend?
Yes.
Do you remember whether or not you actually made a drink for Phil Spector?
Because we got free bartender every night. We make the drink only from the computer.
Okay. So you aren't sure? You don't remember because you made so many drinks?
Yeah, I make a lot of drink, but I don't know
Okay.
which drink.
But you know how to make that drink?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
It is still. Good morning, Mr. Chu. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I'm going to ask you some questions like Mr. Dixon just did, okay?
Okay.
Let's take a look at that recipe again. As I understand it, we might be giving away the trade secrets here to the public, but as I understand it, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different ingredients that go into a Trader Vic's Navy grog. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, there's 1 ounce of dark rum, 1 ounce of light rum, and 1 ounce of Demerara rum. Is that right?
Demerara.
Okay. I'm going to let you pronounce it. I'm going to butcher it if I say it again. But there's other things that go into it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, there's grog mix, right?
Yes.
And there's grapefruit juice, correct?
Yes.
And there's rock candy syrup, correct?
Yes.
And there's fresh lime juice, correct?
Yes.
And in terms of making this drink, you make it in, I guess, a wide, fairly large glass. Can you show us maybe with your hands how big the glass is?
15 ounces.
15 ounces.
The glass.
15 ounces, okay. So you have a 15-ounce glass that has 1 ounce of dark rum,
Yes.
1 ounce of light rum, and 1 ounce of, help me,
Yeah.
what is the third one?
Demerara rum.
Demerara rum. So that leaves 12 additional ounces in that glass, correct, after you put the rum in?
No.
Well, the glass is 15 ounces, right?
Yes.
If we just took the glass and we put 3 ounces of rum in, we'd have 12 ounces of emptiness in the glass to put other things in, like the grog mix, the grapefruit juice, the rock candy syrup, and the fresh lime juice and ice, right?
Nice.
Okay, so we have 3 ounces of liquor, and then we have 12 ounces of a combination of the grog mix, the grapefruit juice, the rock candy syrup, the fresh lime juice, and ice, right?
Yes.
Okay, you've been a bartender for a very long time, correct?
Yes.
When you first make a drink, let's talk about a Trader Vic's Navy grog. When you first make a Trader Vic's Navy grog, and you put it up on the counter for the server to take to the table, at that point, it is complete and ready to go, correct?
Yes.
Okay. There's ice in there, correct?
Yes.
A lot of ice, right?
Yes.
If you took that drink and let it sit, nobody drank it, you just let it sit, and the ice were to melt,
Right.
it would dilute the alcohol, correct?
Yes.
You do not remember seeing Mr. Spector that evening, do you?
I think, yes, I do.
You do remember seeing him? Or you do not remember seeing him?
I do.
Okay. Do you remember speaking with a detective about this on February 9th, 2003? And the detective's name, sir, was Richard Tomlin and another detective, Paul Fournier. Remember talking to the officers on February 9th, 2003?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. And do you remember when you talked to the officers, you told them that you do not remember seeing Mr. Spector that evening and cannot comment on his appearance? Do you remember telling Detective Fournier and/or Detective Tomlin that when they talked to you on February 9th of 2003?
I don't remember.
Okay, I have a report here. I have Mr. Tomlin and Mr. Fournier's report. If I brought it up to you so that you could read that one sentence, might it help you to refresh your memory?
Counsel, can you come up to the bench briefly? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chu, I just have a couple questions. If I brought the report up to you and let you read it for a moment, might it refresh your memory?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to show you one sentence. Just read it to yourself, okay, sir? Just here where it says, Mr. Chu said. Just read that one sentence there to yourself. Okay? Does that help you to remember that you told Detective Tomlin and Fournier that you did not remember seeing Mr. Spector that evening and you could not comment on his appearance?
I guess.
Okay, all right. That's fine. Let's talk about the drink if we can for a moment. So as the ice melts, it dilutes the alcohol, correct?
Yes.
All right. So if somebody wanted to get the most effect of the alcohol, they would drink that drink right away. But if they waited a while or sipped at it, the strength of the alcohol diminishes, correct?
I guess.
Okay. Let me just ask you a couple questions. You've made Navy grogs now for how many? A lot of years, huh?
Yeah.
And you've made, what, thousands, hundreds of thousands of those drinks, correct?
But most drink is my type.
Mai Tai is the most. Shh, don't bring the recipe for that. The judge will be writing that down next.
I already know it.
You might need counsel after this session.
I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Chu, so Mai Tai is the most popular drink, and then you you've already said that you do make a lot of Navy grogs over the years.
Yes.
Okay. It's not unusual for a customer to order a Mai Tai, is it? No?
Everybody like my type.
Okay, likes your Mai Tais, yes?
Trader with my type, not my.
Okay, but you make the Mai Tai, right?
Yeah.
And you make the Navy grog, correct?
Yes.
And everybody likes the Navy grogs too, correct?
Yeah.
All right. You said that a Navy grog is on the strong side. It's not the strongest drink you can make, and it's not the weakest, right?
Yes.
Okay. And just a couple of other questions. Do you recall how many Navy grogs you made that evening, total for the whole restaurant?
I don't remember.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Nothing further.
Thank you. Redirect.
No, thank you, Your Honor. Nothing
All right.
further.
Subject to recall, you may step down. Thank you for being here. You can discuss your testimony with anyone. It's okay. All right. Keeping in mind the admonition will be in recess till 1:30 this afternoon. Thank you.
That was pointless. Wha- Seriously pointless. They've already established.
Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Manuel Cuadra, Manuel, Manuel, Cuadra, Cuadra.
Thank you. If you pull that microphone right underneath your chin, we'll be able to hear you without you leaning forward. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Cuadra, what do you do for a living?
I'm a waiter, sir.
Where are you working?
I work at the Chanas,
Where is that located?
San Jose.
How long have you worked for Dantana's restaurant?
7.5 years.
Were you working on the night of, or the evening hours of February 2nd, 2003 into the morning hours of February 3rd, 2003?
Yes, I was.
And Mr. Cuadra, what do your duties include as a waiter or server at Dantana's restaurant?
take dinner and drink orders and serve them.
All right. How big a restaurant would you estimate Dantana's to be?
It's a small restaurant.
How many tables? It seats
18, 20 tables.
18 to 20 tables?
18 to 20 tables.
Was this your first waiting job, or had you waited tables before working at Dantana's 7 years ago?
When I used to go out, like I said, I'm not a big drinker, but when we used to go down to Disney, because that's like 2.5 hours away, what I would do is when we got there, I would have a drink at the beginning of the night, and then I would kind of like nurse it for a little while, like maybe an hour, and then I would quit drinking and then just drink soda the rest of the night. So I would be okay to drive back home. Because if I had drunken any faster or had more than one, because I'm such a lightweight, I would have been gone. So I just, let me see, I'm trying to think, I think I was probably Emerald Sours that I got. I think once I got a Long Island iced tea, or my friend got a Long Island iced tea. Maybe I just tasted hers. But that was it, like one drink. And it was just over an hour, like I would just nurse it because I did not want to drive impaired. Absolute, not 2.5 hours, absolutely not on the interstate.
I waited tables before.
How long have you been waiting tables in general?
19 years.
So is it safe to say that you're pretty familiar with how the checks are rung for any particular item, either a bar item or a food item at the end of the night or at the end of a meal?
I am.
Your Honor, I'm holding what has been previously marked as People's 12. It's a 3-page document, one side of which appears to be a check, a dinner check for Dantana's. It's pink in color. The other side attached to which is...
Yeah, at least it's not a nail. At least it's something a little more interesting. Alcohol is a little more interesting than a fingernail.
2 copies of a sales draft, a credit card sales draft. Take a look at what's been, if I refer to People's 12, this is what I'm talking about, the overhead view of this particular check. Tell me if, it's the whole thing. Let's see if I can make it a little bigger for you so you can read it.
I can read it.
You can read it, okay?
I
All right,
can.
you're doing better than I am. Your Honor, may I approach just in case?
You may.
Cancel this is People's 12. Mr. Rosen,
I'm sorry.
I'm approaching with the actual claim check.
12.
Yes. Take a look at that document, either up on the overhead or whatever's easiest for you, the actual original document that's sitting in front of you, and tell me if you recognize that document.
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize that?
That's the current receipts that we use for printing for the credit card computer.
So if someone pays at the end of a dinner or at the end of drinks with a credit card, there's a receipt that's prepared?
That is
And that receipt is spit out of some kind of a computer, I'm assuming.
a computer terminal, yes.
How is the information put into the computer to charge the customer for the right amount?
By hand,
Is there a terminal that you punch the screen on?
numbers, the keys.
Okay, so it's the old-fashioned kind where you punch
It
in.
is very old fashioned.
All right. You like it that way?
I like them all.
All right. Do you remember on February 2nd, the night of February 2nd, or maybe the early morning hours of February 3rd? Well, as a matter of fact, why don't I withdraw that question and ask you something else? On that credit card receipt, is there a date and time generated by the computer to show when that receipt is either generated or closed?
Yes, it is.
And do you see the date and time on this particular receipt on People's 12?
Yes, I do.
What is that date and what's the time?
February 3rd 20:03.
And is that what's just been highlighted on the overhead for you?
That is.
Okay, and what about the time?
The time is 01, 27, and 17.
Mr. Quadra, the 1:27:17, is that referring to 1 o'clock in the morning on February 3rd?
Yes, it is.
What is that time in reference to? The time that the check is opened, the time that the order is made, or the time the check is closed?
The time the client is paying.
All right. So at the point at which the credit card is actually run through the system, is that right?
Is
And
correct.
the credit card is then debited?
That is correct.
So in other words, this particular claim check or this credit card check would have been run at just before 1:30 in the morning. Is that right?
That is correct.
Do you see the, let's go ahead and get rid of the highlight, Sudie. Do you see the rest of the check that indicates the amount?
Yes, I do.
Can you describe for the jurors what it is that we're looking at? How much was charged to the credit card in services, including tax, tip, et cetera?
$555.25.
And that's what's just been written or been highlighted as written into the total amount, correct?
Correct.
What about the actual services that were charged, not including gratuity or tip?
$55.25.
All right, and that's indicated by the pre-printed portion of that claim check, right?
That is correct.
Credit card check. So is it safe to say, I think we can all figure it out, there was a $500 tip left on this particular credit card check, yes?
That's correct.
And I see a smile on your face. Does that bring back good, heartwarming memories for you? Doesn't hurt, right?
No, it's good memories.
Yeah. Well said, well said. All right. An unusually large tip for a $55 charge, correct?
That is correct.
Who left that tip for you?
Mr. Phil Spector.
Do you remember Phil Spector being in the restaurant that morning?
Yes, I do.
About what time did Mr. Spector get there?
I will say about 12:20, between 12:25 and 12:30.
And what time does Dantana's close?
On Sunday night, which was that night, it's at 12:30. We
Oh.
close the kitchen.
At 12:30?
We stop serving dinners at 12:30.
Okay. Now you indicated Sunday night. I know I'm being picky here. Actually, if it was 12:30, it would have been Monday morning. Are we talking about the same time?
Yeah, it will be Monday morning, but we call it Sunday.
But you had been working since Sunday evening, correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you have an independent record? By the way, were you Mr. Spector's waiter that night?
Yes, I was.
Do you also tend bar? Does somebody else take care of the bartender?
No, the bartender was a different person.
All right. Take a look at the other side of that claim check, if you wouldn't mind. And Sudie's put it up on the overhead. It's the pinkish colored claim check or dinner check with the pre-printed label Dantana's on the top. Do you see that?
I see it.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it? What is that? What are we looking at?
That is the document we still use for presenting for records.
Do you see the handwritten portion of the check?
Yes, I do.
Whose handwriting is
That
that?
is my handwriting.
All right. There appears to be a couple of things detailed on that check. For instance, at the very top, next to an 18, to the left of the 18, what does that say?
Would you please repeat the question? I distracted myself.
Sure. That portion of the check, what does that say?
Where it says bar, you mean?
No, above bar, exactly above the
It
word.
says 2 tana salads.
Okay. Is two Tana salads?
2 tana salads.
Is that in reference to a signature salad at the restaurant, for instance?
Yes, it is.
Something called a Dantana salad?
Yes, it is. Tana special salad.
All right. There were 2 of those ordered?
That is correct.
How can you tell from what's on that document that there was 2 salads ordered?
I remember.
Do you remember the price of one salad?
Yes.
Well, how much is that?
At the time, it was $9 or $8. I'm sorry.
Prices have gone up since then?
A few times.
All right. Well, there you go. That's inflation for you.
That's my living expenses.
I'm sorry?
My living expenses.
Everything's gone up except your living expenses? Good. All right. Good. Good. Yeah. Well, join the club. Beneath the Tana's salads, there's a indication of bar. What does that mean, Mr. Quadra?
Well, was served, but not necessarily from the bar.
Okay, what does that mean to you where it says bar and then 33?
To me, it means that items from the bar were served, not necessarily everything from the bar.
Okay, in other words, the salad may have come from the kitchen. You may have been serving him at a table,
Yes,
but then there was an additional set of items ordered that would have been filled by the bar, correct?
could be also,
Wait a minute, that's a compound question. It's very common. Just as a form, not substance.
I'm not so sure it is compound. Go ahead, and if you can answer the question, you may.
Can you explain that for us?
best I can put it is not necessarily bar drinks because we also charge items to the bar that are not necessarily alcohol,
Okay.
to say.
On this particular event, on this particular occasion, during the early morning hours, do you remember what, if anything, Mr. Spector ordered?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you remember him ordering alcoholic drinks?
I do, but not accurate.
All right. Did you speak with some investigators before, or that's a good way to put it, before you ever came here? Were you ever interviewed by investigators about
I
this?
did.
And was your memory fresher at the time that you were interviewed about what happened that night at that time than it is now?
I believe so.
All right. Were you answering these investigators honestly and as accurately as you could?
As accurate as I could.
Do you remember telling the investigators, Mr. Quadra, that when Mr. Spector came in, that he ordered a Navy grog?
No, no,
You don't remember telling them that?
not that.
Okay. Do you remember telling them that there was a confusion by Craig Succer, Succer, about what a Navy grog was, and therefore some other drink was ordered?
If I may correct you, if that's okay with the court,
Absolutely. I'm asking for your memory.
we do not serve Navy grogs
Understand.
at the antennas.
I understand. That's not my question. My question is, did Mr. Spector order a Navy grog, and then did you explain to him, we don't serve Navy grogs, we don't know what that is?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember Mr. Spector ordering any drinks that night?
I remember him ordering drinks,
All right. Alcoholic drinks.
alcoholic drinks.
Do you remember exactly what those drinks were?
No, sir.
Do you know what a daiquiri looks like?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did the drinks that Mr. Spector ordered look like, I know you didn't taste them, I'm assuming you didn't taste them. Safe assumption?
It would be an assumption.
Okay. Would it be a safe Would it be a safe assumption that you didn't drink out of Mr. Spector's alcoholic drinks that night?
Pardon me, I didn't hear before the question.
All right.
I will not taste Mr. Spector's drink.
Of course you wouldn't. So based on your view of what was sitting in front of him, did it look like a daiquiri to you?
I'm gonna repeat again, I don't remember.
The alcoholic beverages that you saw served to Mr. Spector, did they look like daiquiris?
Your Honor's asked an answer.
I believe he's answered the question.
If you did, Your Honor, I didn't catch it.
If I may say, it's been a long time ago.
I completely understand.
And also, as we can see in the back of the check, we do not specify, and therefore, I couldn't remember.
Okay. Based on the check and based on the amounts on the check, can you tell us approximately how many drinks Mr. Spector ordered aside from just drinks, just from the bar? How many items were ordered from the
I
bar?
couldn't.
Okay. Do you remember talking to me last,
Yes, I do. Thursday, May 10th.
correct, and I asked you some of these same questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you told me, did you not, that you believed that there were 4 drinks?
I remember what I answered, and I thought about it, and I retract myself.
Okay. Before you retract yourself, we need to find out what you answered. What did you tell me as far as the... Hang on, Mr. Quadra. Wait till you hear the end of my sentence before you answer, all right? We can only talk one at a time. How many drinks did you tell me last Thursday, based on the receipt that you reviewed at my request? How many drinks did you say Mr. Spector ordered that night?
I did tell you 4.
Okay. And is that based, at least in part, on the price?
That is correct.
Okay. How much back in 2003 was a single drink at Dantana's?
I believe it was $8, but I'm not completely sure.
Do you know how much, and just based on your memory, do you know how much a daiquiri sold for at Dantana's in 2003?
I will say $8.
Okay. Do you know how much an amaretto sour sold for in 2003?
I believe $9.
All right. If in fact 2 daiquiris and 2 amaretto sours. Well, is it possible that it could be $8.50 for the amaretto sours?
No,
Anything's possible.
Overruled. You may answer.
Is that possible?
no.
All right. If in fact 2 daiquiris and 2 amaretto sours were ordered, that would actually be a $34 tab.
That would be a $34 tab.
Can you tell us why there's a $33 charge as opposed to a $34 or
No, I
$32
can't.
charge?
No, I can't.
Sorry, what, first of all, there's too much talking going on at the same time. What is the objection?
Objection was no foundation in light of the answer. I'll withdraw.
All right.
I didn't do the answer.
Okay, what was, we asked the question and we'll get the answer.
Yes, Your Honor. I think my question, Mr. Quadro, was based upon the amount that was charged to Mr. Spector's credit card, the $33 concerning the bar bill. Do you have a recollection as to the price of each drink that Mr. Spector was charged for?
Well, then he's asking a new question. In any event, I'll allow him to do that. You may answer.
No,
Okay, you have no recollection.
no.
On February 12th, which was 9 days after this event, were you interviewed by investigators from the Sheriff's Department?
I was.
Okay. Did you see whether or not those sheriff's investigators were taking notes during the course of your interview?
I believe they were.
Were the investigators asking you questions about your best recollection of the events of that evening or the early morning hours of February 3rd?
Yes, they were.
Were you trying as best you could to answer them honestly and accurately?
As I best could, yes.
And was your memory better on February 12th about what happened on February 3rd than it is now, almost 4 years, or a little better than 4 years later?
I will say so.
Okay. You indicated that you don't recall whether or not Mr. Spector ordered a Navy grog when he came in. Is that your testimony?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you think it might refresh your recollection if you were to look at a page of a report and just read it to yourself about the interview that was conducted with investigators?
I don't mind.
Okay. May I, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Rosen says page 169. Actually, 169 and 170. May I approach you?
You may.
Thank you. Mr. Quadro, this may take just a quick second, but I want you to start at about the third paragraph down where it begins on February 12th, and I want you to read to yourself, not out loud, until you reach the end of the interview on the next page. And let me know when you're finished.
Have you finished reading?
I have.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Quadro, having reviewed this, does this refresh your recollection as to whether or not Mr. Spector ordered a Navy grog when he walked into the restaurant?
No, it doesn't.
All right. Do you believe, as you sit here today, what is your recollection about Mr. Spector ordering alcoholic beverages?
Objection, Your Honor. When asked and answered.
I believe you've gone over it. There's other ways to do it. And I believe this witness has indicated his ability to recall.
All right.
Sustain.
Thank you.
Did you tell investigator Fournier and or Tomlin, there were 2 investigators that came and talked to you, correct?
I remember that.
All right.
That much.
Do you remember telling the investigators that, in fact, a Navy grog was ordered, but Craig, the bartender, did not know how to make it?
Your Honor.
If
Excuse me.
Objection. Asked and answered.
The objection is overruled because the only way, if it ever comes in, that this testimony or this evidence will come in is by setting up the predicate for others to testify. The objection is overruled.
Thank you.
if I told you yes, I would not be telling you accurately because as my recollection, I have never heard about that drink before up until Thursday, May 10th, when the bartender from Trader Vic's was describing the drink, but I have never heard about the name of a drink before.
Do you remember telling investigators that Mr. Spector ordered 2 chopped salads?
I remember that.
Do you remember telling investigators that you actually went into the prep room and you prepared the chopped salads yourself?
I remember doing it myself. Probably I did tell investigators.
Did you tell the investigators that you saw when you returned that Mr. Spector had a blended yellow-colored alcoholic beverage in front of him?
That I don't remember.
Do you remember telling?
Yes.
Interrupt, Mr. Jackson. I just have a running objections to this line inquiry in the previously stated grounds. And I'm assuming the same ruling for the court.
You assume correctly. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you remember telling investigators that during the evening, as Mr. Spector was still at the table, Mr. Spector ordered a second round of the same drink, although you did not know exactly what that drink was?
I don't remember.
Do you remember saying that you do not recall who brought it to the table, but you remember that it was, quote, the same type of drink as the first one? Do you remember saying that?
I don't remember.
Did you indicate whether or not you had any recollection of the female having any alcoholic beverage that night?
I couldn't tell you.
Do you remember telling investigators that you had seen Mr. Spector roughly 30 times over the years, but you had only personally served him approximately 3 times at Dantana's? Do you remember saying that?
I might have said it because that is what I recollect from all the years that I've been there.
Do you remember telling investigators that before this particular night, you had never seen Mr. Spector drink an alcoholic beverage at Dantana's?
I might have. I don't remember telling the investigators.
With regard to the bill, both the dinner check as well as the credit card receipt, do you have any quarrel with the accuracy of the bill? The fact that it was $55.25, including tax, a $33 and an $18 charge?
No, I don't.
Do you have any quarrel with the accuracy of the $18 referencing 2 chopped salads?
No, I don't.
Do you have any quarrel with the accuracy of the $33 referencing bar bill?
No, I don't.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Mr. Quadra, good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon, sir.
How are you today?
Fine, sir. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm one of Mr. Spector's lawyers.
Yes, sir.
Member of the team. As I understand it, you've been in your profession for 19 years, is that right?
That is correct, sir.
So as of February 2nd and 3rd of 2003, you've been doing this a very long time.
Yes, sir.
You're like a veteran, correct?
I am a veteran.
Okay.
Almost ready to retire.
Well, I think after this trial, everyone else will ask you to take them with you. You indicated to Mr. Jackson that you had actually waited on Mr. Spector approximately 30 times over the years that he had personally come into Dantana's. Is that right?
No, that is not correct.
Okay. What is correct?
At the most, 3 times I waited on Mr. Spector on all the years he came. That means not all the years, the 3 or 4 years that I've been at Dantana's at that time.
So you'd waited on him 3 or 4 times, but you'd seen him there.
Not even 4, at the most 3.
Okay.
I've seen him there.
Okay, but you'd seen him there a number of
I
times.
have seen him many times.
Would it be fair? I'm going to use a phrase. If I confuse you, you let me know. I'll rephrase it.
Yes, sir.
Would you consider him at that time to have been a regular at Dantana's?
Yes.
And by regular, I mean a regular customer.
Yes.
And the staff was very familiar with him, correct?
Yes.
And sometimes, sir, you would wait on him, correct? 3 times.
Yes.
And sometimes your colleagues, other employees at Dantana's would wait on him.
Yes.
And would it be fair to say that you've always noticed Mr. Spector's been very friendly with everyone?
The laughter is because they're talking about alcohol. And yeah, we know this guy had a problem with alcohol. I don't even know why they're calling these witnesses. They've already established that this man has a problem with alcohol. They're laughing about recipes and stuff. This is a waste of time. Total waste of time.
Everyone there. The employees I'm talking about, just the employees.
Friendly, not necessarily, but very professional.
Very professional. And he's always a big tipper, isn't he?
He is a very generous gentleman.
He's a generous gentleman.
Let me know how that works out for you, Rodney.
The tip, Jen, can we get that up on the screen, please? A little larger, please. Others, that one, please, yes. Nice and big, please. Bigger. Can we get it even bigger? There we go. Okay. On this particular ticket, it shows a tip amount of $500, correct?
That is correct.
And that, would it be fair to say that the average customer at Dantana's, it's been your professional experience, tips somewhere between 10, 15% at the low end and 25, 30% on the high end? That would be the average?
That would be fair to say.
So this would be way above the average, correct?
That is way above the average.
Okay. Now, as I understand it, that $500 tip, that all didn't go to you, did it?
No, sir.
That was to be divided up, Mr. Quadra, amongst others, is that right?
That is correct.
And as I understand it, that was to be divided up amongst 5 or 6 different people, isn't that right?
Five people.
5 different people. So of the 5 people, each one individually got a $100 tip that night.
That is correct, sir.
Were you one of those that got $100?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Not 500?
No, sir.
Okay. It would be correct to say, wouldn't it, that Mr. Spector is very generous with his tips in Dantana's to yourself and other employees because he respects the work that the waiters do there, right?
You can say that.
Okay.
Objection. I'm sorry, Your Honor. It's a little late. Speculation moves strike.
The objection is sustained. The answer is stricken. The jury's admonished.
Got the lunch, Judge. I'm sorry.
Well, it was clear to you, wasn't it, when you did wait on Mr. Spector the 3 times, he was appreciative of the work that you did, correct?
Objection, speculation.
Unless he voiced it, the objection is sustained. You can put 2 and 2 together to make 4, but you can't always ask if it's 4, okay?
How about 3.5?
I'm not negotiating, all right.
Okay, let me ask it this way, sir. Ms. Quadra, Mr. Spector has expressed to you, has he not personally, his appreciation of your services. Isn't that true?
By the way he treated us financially,
Objection.
like,
It's non-responsive.
Again, it's stricken. The jury's admonished. If he hasn't stated anything specifically, then we're not going to go any further.
Let's try it this way. Each time that you waited on Mr. Spector, was he as generous as he was on the?
yes, he was.
Okay. And you yourself took that as a sign of appreciation of service well done, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, that evening, well, let me ask this. Mr. Spector, you've waited on him 3 times and you've seen him in Dantana sometimes. He's pretty much, he's a quiet man. He usually doesn't say very much, isn't he?
He is a quiet man.
Kind of keeps to himself?
Yes.
Okay. And that evening, did he seem to be in good spirits, or that morning, whatever it was, did he seem to be in good spirits that time? Happy?
Yes, he was in good spirits.
Okay. And let's take a look. Jen, can I have that back up, please? Let's take a look at the meal that was served, okay? The other ticket, please, the handwritten ticket. Thank you. And if you could blow that up, please, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Let's start with the top. It has a date, which is 2/2, which is February 2nd, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and it shows the server is server 13.
that is correct. That is me.
That's you, right?
That is me.
And then we see that there were 2 persons at the table, and the table was table number 4.
That is correct.
By the way, table number 4, is that the usual table that Mr. Spector sits at?
That is correct.
Okay, and that's kind of in the back of the restaurant?
Yes, far north on the back of the restaurant.
Oh,
Northwest.
yes, okay. And it shows, of course, the check number. Now, the first line, that's your handwriting, right?
That is my handwriting, sir.
Where it says Hannah Salad.
Terrible handwriting. Yes, it is.
No, it's fine. We can all read it. You should see mine. Okay. I get a list of the groceries and then come back from the grocery store and it's something completely different. The Tana salad, you know that's 2 Tana salads because of the process, is that right?
That is correct. And that I remember serving them 2 tannins salad.
because you recall making the salad.
That I made the salads
You were,
myself.
you were kind enough to go back into the kitchen and prepare it for Mr. Spector and his guests because the kitchen had closed.
It was the least I could do.
I understand. And tell us, what goes into the Tana salad? What do you put in? A lot of food.
I repeat this every night.
Okay, tell us what, even though it's after lunch, tell us what goes into it.
Iceberg lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes, garbanzo beans, mozzarella cheese, and green bell peppers, and house Italian dressing.
Okay, and is that the way you prepared it that night?
Yes, and I chopped it up.
Okay, and there were two of them, is that right?
That is correct.
And did you also serve them to Mr. Spector?
Yes, I did.
So you went back and made both salads and you served both salads?
Yes, I did.
It's a pretty good sized salad, isn't it?
It's a medium-sized salad.
And underneath it, we see the word bar, and you wrote that there, correct?
Yes,
And we see the number 33 over in the right-hand column indicating, I'm assuming, the price of that. Is that right?
the total price for the bar tab that night.
If I understand your testimony correct, the fact that there's $33 to the right of the word bar that you wrote there on the same line, the same horizontal line, that doesn't mean that there was $33 worth of alcohol ordered, because as I think you said, oftentimes things are credited against the bar, but actually they're not of an alcoholic nature. Is that true?
That is correct.
So I understand that correctly.
That is correct.
Okay. And just by looking at this check number that you authored that morning, you can't tell what items comprise that total figure of $33. That's a fair statement, isn't it?
That is a fair statement.
Dan Tana's in 2003 served alcoholic beverages, is that right?
That is correct.
But Dan Tana's also served non-alcoholic beverages, correct?
That is correct.
For example, if somebody wanted to order a soft drink, Dan Tana's would provide that,
That
correct?
is correct.
Dan Tana's could provide a regular Pepsi.
That is correct.
Dan Tana's could provide Diet Pepsis, right?
That is correct.
And both of those beverages were available.
Darn it. Crap. I hate when I do that. I was saying that his tips were outrageous. Like, one was 100% and the other one was over 100%. And I think he probably did that to get extra special treatment, whether he was famous or not. because he had the money. I don't like to tip. I tip because it's expected. But like if we go out, I mean, we're normal people, right? So if we go out to eat, that's that's a special occasion. Like, I mean, we're not to the point that we can't afford to go out to eat, but if we do, it's it's not like an everyday thing. Like this man went to 2 restaurants in the same night and tipped $500, right? So we can go, I don't know, once a month maybe. And so we're going to tip like like 15% or whatever. Like we're not going to go crazy with our tip. Like in Europe, it's included. You don't tip. It's included. Everything's included in the price of your meal. And I think that's the way it should be in America. I don't know, I don't understand that. Like because if you're able to tip well, you get better treatment. I, it doesn't seem fair. It seems like the people that are able to tip well, like if you are a frequent person at a restaurant or a bar or wherever, and you're a good tipper, and they're used to you being there, they're going to bend over backwards to be extra helpful to you because they know you're going to tip them well. But if you're somebody that goes to a restaurant on a frequent basis and you can't afford to leave a $500 tip, they're not going to go out of their way to be super super helpful if they know they're not going to get a great tip. You know what I mean? Like I don't think tipping is fair. I don't know. Maybe that's just my bias, but and so yeah, I think probably that too, like to impress his dates, but also that too to like impress the restaurant so that he gets VIP treatment. So I think that's probably why the big tips for both of those reasons. So I think that both of you have a good point. But I kind of wish we were on the European system where it comes to tips because I don't get it. Why? And I don't think it's fair for wait staff either because the pay then is not proportionate to their job. Like they get paid paycheck wise, they get paid crap, and then it depends on what tips they make. And then some restaurants will take all the tips and divide them evenly. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think it's an unfair system.
To the customer, the public, in February of 2003.
That is correct.
Sir, do you recall Mr. Spector ordering some regular Pepsis and or Diet Pepsis that evening?
I'm sorry, I don't recall.
Okay, that's fine. Do you think if you looked at the report that Mr. Jackson referred you to when he was examining you and you read it, it might refresh your memory?
I could read it, but I cannot say that I will refresh my memory.
Okay, so even if you read it, it wouldn't refresh your memory.
To me, it's all written, but it would not bring memories.
Okay, that's fine.
I try keeping it that way.
Okay, that's fine. How much did Dan Tana's charge in February of 03 for, say, a Pepsi?
$3.
And would I be correct in assuming if your choice was a Diet Pepsi, the amount was the same?
$3.
Okay, so if in fact, let's just for a moment look at the bar check, the tab. If we assume for a moment that a regular Pepsi and a Diet Pepsi were ordered, that would amount to $6 at that time.
That is correct.
So if we took $6 off the $33, it would leave a balance of $27 that was charged to something, and I understand you don't know what it is, and the practices in Dan Tana's, that it could be non-alcohol related
Could be.
food, correct?
Not food, but non-alcoholic beverage.
Non-alcoholic, okay.
I mean, it could mean bottled water as well.
Okay. And if it was 2 Pepsis and 2 Diet Pepsis, that would be $12, right?
That is correct.
And if we took the $12 from the $33, it would leave, help me with my math here, $21, correct?
I lost you on the math, but I take yours.
It's about the only math I can do correctly, I think. Okay, so that leaves us at $21. And by this exhibit, we just don't know how much of that $33.
Yeah, but you see, that's my point, because there are some restaurants now that will take all the tips and put it in a pot, and then at the end of the night divide them equally. But see, that's not fair either, because what if you have this one table where the waiter was, or server, whatever, was really, really good. So this family or whatever says they were really, really good. Like maybe they went out of their way and did something super extra special, and you feel like they really deserve that extra tip. What if you like, oh, I can't really afford it, but they did something super special, and you dug deep in your pocketbook and gave them like an extra 20 or something that you really didn't have, but they did something super special for you. And then it just gets put in a pot and divided between all the wait staff. Then that's not fair either. So I just don't like tipping because of stuff like that. I don't know. I just don't like it.
Is a portion to non-alcoholic beverages and how much is a portion to alcoholic beverages? Isn't that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
Okay. May I have the court's indulgence for just a moment, please? Thank you. Redirect.
Very briefly, you indicated that this evening stood out in your mind because Mr. Spector left such a large tip, correct?
Excuse me, I think that.
And Chili Beans Daily StreamYard insult. Hey, it's behaving today. Maybe you shouldn't have insulted it yet.
Just states the evidence out of the claims.
Well, he could ask it in a slightly different fashion.
Mr. Quadra, I may have misunderstood you. I thought that you said that $500 tip stands out in your mind.
Every time Mr. Spector came to a restaurant, it stood out on the record for us because he was always generous.
Okay, so this particular night stood out in your mind just as well as the others did because he left a $500 tip, correct?
Excuse me, objection, that's a big question.
Overruled. You may ask.
How does that work? Oh, wait, wrong one. How does that work? I heard someone say once, if you get a really bad server, don't not leave them a tip. Just leave them a penny, because that will show them that you were dissatisfied with the service. It won't, if you don't leave a tip, it doesn't tell them either way. But if you just leave a penny, it sends a message. But how does leaving them a tip get the worst out of the service industry?
Sir, if you can.
To me, it seems vague.
Okay, if it seems vague to you, that's good enough for me. Ask another question.
I'm gonna have you on my objection.
Yeah.
I've been watching Law and Order.
I'm sorry, you've been watching Law and Order?
Yes,
The competitors in the courtroom.
Absolutely. Let me see if I can sound it off more like Sam Waterston.
I don't like him.
I'm 0 for 3 right now, Judge. Did this particular evening serving Mr. Spector stand out in your mind over serving others, for instance, because Mr. Spector left a $500 tip?
There are some times when I think that I'm confused with the times that he was there, because sometimes I wanna remember what went on that night, but sometimes I think it might have been 2 different times that he was there.
Okay.
So to me, the tip doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't mean very much.
Let me ask you
Very
this
much
one.
to me.
When you spoke with the investigators, did you say that this particular evening stood out to some degree in your mind with Mr. Spector? Because this was the first time you'd seen him order alcohol.
I will.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Objection beyond the scope of the cross and asked and answered.
Given where it's gone, I'm going to allow, if it is beyond the scope, I will allow the district attorney to reopen and to do some inquiry along these lines. The objection is overruled. You may proceed.
Go ahead.
I can answer, but again, I will be assuming that that's what I told the investigator, but I have no recollection what I told the investigators either.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Mr. Rosen asked you if the bar serves Cokes or Pepsis or whatever it is, soft drinks,
Yes,
and how much they are. You indicated $3 a piece, correct?
yes.
Do you think it might have stood out in your mind if Mr. Spector ordered 2 chopped salads and 11 Cokes?
It doesn't make any sense, but I don't know what to say.
That's enough. That's all I have.
Thank you. Recall?
None.
Thank you. Subject to recall, you're excused. Thank you for being here. You're admonished not to discuss your testimony with anyone except the attorneys in the case. You may step down. Thank you.
Oh, cool. Okay, I think that, what time is it? 10. Okay. I think that's all we're going to do of Phil today. And we're going to go over and do, I think I set corn rake for 10:30, but I think I'm going to change it to 10. So, because we're going to finish that up today. And Todd's testimony is like 3 hours long. Head down for bad services and head up with the rest of the tip for great service. Yeah. Oh, and Travis keeps telling me, okay. Remember I told you about Travis and like tech stuff yesterday and his reading comprehension? Well, he will read thumbnails or partial like headlines of stuff and not watch the YouTube video, or maybe not understand the headline, or it'll be clickbait or whatever, and then he'll come tell me these things. And he doesn't know like details or specifics or anything. So speaking of pennies, he keeps telling me that President Trump is going to do away with pennies. Have you guys heard anything about pennies being done away with? So I said, well, what's going to happen when things are like 99 cents? How are we going to pay the 4 cents? Are things not going to be like 99 cents and $1.99, and is everything going to be like even, like $1, $2 instead of $1.99, or like what? I'm so confused. And he doesn't know because he didn't read the whole article or watch the video or whatever. He just saw the headline and told me. So he said it again last night as we were falling asleep, and I'm like, Travis, you have got to stop doing that. You've got to find out the details and quit just telling me the thumbnail. I have no idea what he's talking about. Oh, I don't watch the news either. I watch YouTube. I figure if it's important enough, it will end up on YouTube and I will find out about it. Okay. So, he did talk about it. Okay. $0.02 to make a penny. Well, that's not cost efficient. I don't think it's a bad idea. Our resident foodie people. No, now some people. No, wait. No, I'm thinking of gluten. I was going to say some people have to eat vegan. but that's gluten. That's gluten free, I'm thinking of. I was going to say something else and I forgot what it was. I I love meat. I don't think I could be vegetarian. But if I could be vegetarian, I definitely could not be vegan. I like my cheese. I like my eggs. I can't. A lot of presidents have said that about the penny. Oh my God, Jelly Bean, just kill me now. Yeah, you and me both. I love steak. I love pork ribs. I like chicken. Chicken is usually what I eat because it's a leaner meat and it's better for you. But I love steak. Oh, I love steak. When I was a kid, I swear, my dad didn't do this on purpose. I know he didn't do this on purpose. But it seemed like every time I got my braces adjusted, my dad made steak. And I kept telling him, Dad, every time I get my braces adjusted, you make steak and I can't eat it because it hurts to chew. It was a coincidence. I know he didn't do it on purpose, but it just seemed like every time. And now you can't even tell I have braces because I've lost so many back teeth as I've gotten older that they're moving again. And the bottoms, I've got a permanent retainer in the bottom and they're still moving. Cool, Flash. That's great. I love salads though. Only problem is I like the salads that are not good for you. Probably. Probably. I like my favorite salad right now is the Asian salad at Zaxby's. I get it with the grilled chicken, but still, it has like teriyaki sauce on it, and then it comes with this like Asian citrus dressing, and it comes with a vegetable egg roll. It is so good. Um, I love Caesar salads, which Caesar is like supposed to be the worst salad dressing you can put on a salad, but I get the light kind. Those two are my favorites. Um, and I can eat those every day like crazy. I love both of them. So, like the vinaigrette type dressings and stuff, I'll eat them, but they're not my favorite. I love salads, but I like the kind. Of course, I like the kind that aren't good for diets. But I like Thousand Island dressing too, but not quite as much as Caesar. Caesar's my favorite, and ranch. Those two are my favorites. But right now, that I know hamburger is ridiculous. It's like for it's like I think it's a 4 pound like tray at Walmart. It's like that big. $30. Over $30 is crazy. Groceries are so expensive. I swear. And healthy food, good healthy food, produce and high in protein things. Um the like the lean cuisine and healthy choice, like the good frozen dinners, the healthy frozen dinners. My grocery bill for two of us, my grocery bill when I get um the healthy stuff like the protein laden snacks and the single size, of course when you buy the single size snacks they cost more because you're paying for the packaging, because it's single size. my grocery bill is like $400, and that lasts for like 2 weeks. And then the other 2 weeks, we're just like buying stuff. Like I've got my meat for the month, and then the 2 weeks we're buying like little thing. Like we run out of bread and milk and cheese, and yeah, I like Chinese food too. I've not had any in a really long time because I like sweet and sour, which is not good for diets. Every once in a while, though, like maybe once a month, although I've skipped the past couple months, I'll be like, go get me some sweet and sour chicken because, like, when he goes and picks up the groceries every month, that will be like my cheat day. I'll be like, go to the Chinese restaurant on your way home and. But lately, I've been eating the Asian salad, so I'm getting my egg roll and the teriyaki sauce. So I'm still like getting my Chinese fix, and it's salad. So I love chicken. Absolutely love chicken. I eat chicken much, much more than red meat, but I like red meat too. That sounds good. I love pulled pork. Barbecue pulled pork, though, I love, 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 love. I've probably been eating too much of it. We have a fast food restaurant here. It's like a little independent fast food place that has the best pulled pork sandwiches. And so, um, I don't know. Travis loves barbecue, but he's a barbecue snob. He only wants to go to Sonny's and no place else. So I'm like, why don't you eat these? They're so good. And he's like, oh, I just don't want them. I'm like, okay, whatever. There's an Aldi in Gainesville, which is about 45 minutes away, but um I heard that Aldi bought out Winn Dixie. And there's a Winn Dixie in Chiefland that's like 15 minutes from here. So I'm waiting for that Winn Dixie because Winn Dixie's so expensive. We don't shop at Winn Dixie. So um I'm waiting for that Winn Dixie to turn into an Aldi so I can go get my produce there because produce at Walmart is hit and miss. Like I'll order something. Like one time I ordered um a little, those little bitty baby cukes. They come in like a little bag, and then we've got like 5 or 6 in there. And I got them from Walmart, and I swear it was the next day. I didn't eat any that day when Travis brought them home. It was like the next day or the day later. I wanted one. I went in there and I put my hand in the bag. My hand went through the cucumbers. It was disgusting. I'm like, they've been in the refrigerator for 2 days. They should not be so rotten that my hand goes through them already. I was like, okay, no more produce from Walmart. And I keep saying that, but I keep getting it because I have no place else to get good produce from. And so we went into Aldi. Publix is a grocery store. So we have we're getting a Publix in Newberry, which is about 20 minutes from us. So I'll be able to shop at Publix now. They're better than Walmart, but I don't think I can order from them like I order from Walmart. But hopefully, if my back gets better, I can actually start uh, grocery shopping again. Yeah, we went to the Aldi in Gainesville once and we got some things. Um, but I don't think we got any produce. We looked at it, but we didn't get. I think we were just like in there that day just to look and see kind of what they had because we'd never been in one before, and we got a few things, but not a lot. But if we get one in Chiefland, I will be there all the time getting produce. Oh, I didn't know that. I get things on my phone all the time about um about Aldi carrying like limited edition Disney stuff. And I've never seen, well, like I said, I've only been in Aldi that one time, but I didn't see anything like that in the Aldi in Gainesville. So maybe it's only certain stores. I only saw food in the Aldi in Gainesville. Fish flavored ice cream? Yuck. I like Ben and Jerry's fish food ice cream. It has chocolate fish in it. It doesn't taste like fish. Okay, well, I guess the other stream isn't going to start at 10 because it's 10:15 now. So I guess we'll still start at 10:30. I think I made it for 10:30. I might have made it for 10:15. I don't remember. But I will see you guys over there. So I wish I knew how to portal. I don't know. I tried to portal from one of my streams to the next one time and it didn't work. And then someone said, well, that's because you're not monetized yet. And I'm monetized now. The videos aren't monetized, but I have members and stuff. So I don't know. I'll have to look into doing that. Yeah, fish food, Ben and Jerry's fish food. It's spelled PHISH. It has little chocolate fish in them. It's chocolate ice cream with marshmallow and caramel swirls, like real marshmallow and caramel. And it has little chocolate fish, and it is so good. And I will sit and eat a whole pint if I'm not careful. Oh, yeah, we have a Save a Lot here, too. And yeah, they do. They have good meat at reasonable prices. I just haven't, because of my back, I haven't grocery shopped in so long. I just order it from Walmart and then Travis goes and picks it up because it's easier because I really cannot, I don't have the stamina. I mean, I can grocery shop, I just don't have the stamina. My back, since I had that nerve block, is so much better. But now I'm having pain in my hips and I'm wondering if I was confused. I mean, I did have back pain. My back pain is way, way better. But I'm wondering if some of what I thought was back pain was actually hip pain. Because I'm still having pain in my hips. So, well, beef jerky's protein. So I'm not sure that eating a whole bag of beef jerky is equivalent to eating a whole pint of Ben and Jerry's. Okay, I will see you guys over there. And that's something else I need to learn how to do is to create a portal. But that's for another time. Every part of a pig. That's gross. I only eat certain parts of pigs. There are certain parts I don't. Now, my dad would eat pig's feet. My dad would eat raccoon and squirrel and all kinds of gross stuff. You know how unnerving it is to open your freezer and see bags of raccoon meat and frozen squirrels? It's really gross. Very, very gross. Okay. All right. Y'all go. Let's go to the other one. Bye.